Welcome all to another episode of The Real Football Talk. I'm your host Hassan. Today I have with me Adil and Rashid. We'll be discussing Manchester City's 20th league win against West Ham. Not league win, throughout all competitions. Adil, I wanted to kind of look into City did dominate the game in terms of possession, but they didn't really create too many chances. In the first half, West Ham looked more of a threat. I wanted to kind of look into what that was down to, really.
Yeah, if we just go into straight away the formations, I think Moyes is showing this West Ham team is very adaptable in its formations. So this is the setup: City 4-3-3, and what West Ham did was they played 5-3-1-1. So they had a diamond in the midfield, and obviously the idea was to stifle the attacking influence of Gundogan and De Bruyne. So what happened was Fornals and Souček were effectively man marking these two in the game, and basically, yeah, they matched up man for man and left it 1v1, and the spare player being Dawson. So West Ham are really good at stifling Man City, and I think this is what they've been doing in most matches, where Moyes is very good at setting the team up to stifle and stop the opposition's attacks, or the best way, or the way in which they prefer to attack. So then teams have to go towards the plan Bs and plan Cs, and obviously in this game, City, both goals they scored was not conventional for normally the way they like to score, but they still found a way to win. City looked tired at the beginning. I think the hangover from Europe did play a part, but still you have to say it was still quite a comfortable victory. I thought West Ham were quite intelligent, and the thing with this is, in the first half there was a lot of things going on. So if you go into just setting it as a match, what West Ham were really trying to do was to use Antonio as a decoy, and really the goal threat was actually from Lingard running in beyond Antonio. But what happened was and this is the thing that's very scary for opposition teams, is this City team has also become very good at changing its style and changing the way it plays. It's not sticking to the values of. It's not sticking to the values of trying to dominate the game at every facet of the play as much as Pep used to. So they're quite adaptable. So what happened was, as you can see, it was very difficult for City to get a foothold in the game, because all the attacking threats, so the two wingers were 1-on-1, and Johnson was doing okay with Mahrez. I mean, he got a yellow card, but most of the times he was winning that battle. Stifle was getting the better of Torres. And then what you had was this situation where Zinchenko was coming in to midfield, and he was getting quite a lot of joy in that midfield zone. And Walker was staying a bit more out wide. So he was. So these are the things that I think is very interesting about the City team, is Walker has struggled when he's played in that midfield role. So now the evolution of Pep is he's allowing Walker just to stay in his role, which is just overlap and underlap in the wide areas, and he's not forcing him to play a role that he's not comfortable with. So what happens? Walker was kind of the spare player a lot today. I mean, he didn't attack him enough.
Do you think he was kind of playing like a three at the back at times, just to kind of like, and then given Fernandinho a bit more kind of life?
I mean, he was around here as well, so yeah, he was joining in, and he's getting the balls into Zinchenko, Fernandinho a lot. So he was in that area, but the main thing is normally like we've seen in the other games, Cancelo would be here.
I mean, yeah.
Zinchenko would be here, Fernandinho, and they'll be dominating, but they didn't force that with Walker. So it just shows Pep is adapting to the players that he's got, and he's accepting the
Ability.
characteristics of the players. And we saw that, and only once or twice did Walker come out wide, but the cross wasn't great. So that was the thing. But what West Ham were trying to do was West Ham was trying to actually get. So they're getting the ball. If we have these two there, so they're trying to get the ball into Antonio, and what their plan was, they were hoping Diaz or Stones would go in tight, and then Lingard would make the run in behind into the gap, whichever side. So he had Firo wherever he spotted the gap. Now, what was clever about the City team, and normally they would mark tight, but what they did, they let Antonio get the ball. And then what they did was they suffocated his pass out to whoever he played it to, or Antonio himself, and won the ball back like that, instead of falling for that combo of. So really good scouting by the Man City team, not to fall for the trap that West Ham had set in the first half, and obviously very good work from Moyes in the setup, because when they conceded, they started to go high press, and what that did was, so they abandoned Gundogan and De Bruyne, and Souček and Fornals started to push up into the zone. But they're doing it so well that what happened was Fornals picking up Zinchenko. So then they're picking up in this spot, and the whole of this West Ham's right side is free because Zinchenko is out of position. And Torres was not paying attention. So what happened was the attacks were all coming down this right side to Kufan. So the clever thing was that once they conceded, Man City were brave enough to actually gamble. They were gambling, and through that high press, they were catching out the ball in the high press. So it wasn't Zinchenko or Fernandinho losing it. What happened was, because everyone was marked so tight, man for man, what was happening was Aguero was coming all the way in to make the extra man, and he was getting caught out on the ball. The passing wasn't great. So the West Ham's equaliser was a consequence of their setup and the high press, and then just recognizing that Torres is a bit more lazier. So then when Kufal straight away bumped forward, Torres was miles behind. Zinchenko's out of position, and the goal comes in. So I was the first half, both teams you have to credit in terms of the way they set up. Both teams are adaptable. Both teams are playing to the strengths of their players. And what I would say is quite even.
I mean, Rashid, what did you make of the fantastic ball from De Bruyne?
Oh yes, that was a phenomenal pass. Phenomenal. It's phenomenal. He'd done it. A few minutes later on, he nearly done the same for Aguero, who just missed. Overall in the game, I thought Man City were very lucky, especially the decision to rest three key players. Cancelo, on form, probably the best fullback in the world at the moment. Rodri, who gives them 5-10% possession more. And Foden. I was quite surprised they decided to rest them three against a very solid West Ham team who are top four. They're in the fourth position at the moment. I probably would have seen them resting them in the midweek game against Wolves. So that was surprising, and I think it nearly cost them, because if you watch the game, the three shots they had on target, two of them were from the defenders. The goals were from the defenders, and West Ham nearly nicked it right at the end as well. So so the strength of their team is unbelievable. They've got away with it, and they've got fresh players coming in for the Wolves game. So yeah, it's phenomenal in the sense that they rested three key players and got the result they wanted. They had three shots on target. That tells you West Ham, defended very, very well. Now the worry now is for other teams. West Ham are performing really, really well. This game, even though they lost away to City, it's very convincing because they're fourth place. You got 4 or 5 teams trying to fight for that place now. They look very, very solid at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Antonio also hit the post with a chance.
Yeah.
Just before the equalizer. So, and City, I think, other than the goal, that was the only shot on target in the first half. So,
if you look
again,
look at the stats, most of the shots and the attempts made were by West Ham.
Yeah, they're very unlucky.
I think that's the style of difference in style of both teams, because West Ham were playing on the counter and playing fast. So when they got half a chance, they didn't have the numbers in the attack or the ability to rotate and keep that ball under the pressure of City players. So what would that would end up in a rush shot, because they're playing fast on the break. Because City were playing at their tempo, playing a bit slower, they weren't willing to basically take shots, so they weren't forcing the
two goals.
But they struggled to create any chances.
Yeah. There's 2 goals they got. The 2 goals they got from obviously 2 centre backs. They weren't. The impressive thing was that it wasn't from corners. They were from open play. So that tells you they're attacking numbers. When goals have drive, when they have a game where the midfielders or the strikers are not firing, they've got goals from defence as well. So the team is it's the strongest in the league by a country mile. So yeah, they still got Laporte on the bench. Last year, City fans would agree with this. He was probably the second best defender in the league, and now he can't get into the team. The 2 defenders that played,
that's because of the fantastic form of both Diaz and Stones. Really, did City make any adjustment to kind of? Obviously, West Ham were nullifying their threats and they weren't really creating any opportunities or anything. So did Man City change anything to kind of counter that?
So like we said, so what we said was in the first half was Gundogan and De Bruyne. When West Ham went for the high press, these Gundogan and De Bruyne were very high up the pitch. They played in the 10th position, 10 position, taking on the half turn. So what they did clever in the second half as an adjustment to beat the high presses, they went out wide. So the wingers still stayed where they were, but these 2 went outside the line of the pass. So they literally effectively going into a wide midfield positions. So what happened was that allowed them to beat the press in the second half, and now the defenders have to follow them if they want to stick to the high press, which they weren't willing to do, because as soon as you push the line up that high, suddenly you've got the burning pace of Torres, Mahrez, and Aguero for the ball over the top. So what happened, that's how they wrestled control back into the game, was by De Bruyne and Gundogan. Gundogan was on the left, literally the whole second half, left wing, and dictating the game from the De Bruyne had done it from the right, but he was joining in and enjoying the extra space he was getting. So so it was very, very good adjustment again from Pep. It had to counter the high press of West Ham. But I feel that the second half, what happened was it felt like the goal that West Ham scored just before halftime made them overconfident. That start of the second half was end to end. Both teams just going for it, but the pace in which West Ham were attacking was quite surprising. It's like they were really going for it, and they were. I mean, while I was watching, I was quite critical. I was thinking Lingard's not realizing that the chances of creating a goal scoring opportunity, playing some of the balls here. So he kept pinging it straight to Antonio in behind. And then it was just, one, the pass was too forced, is asking too much of Antonio on the, on the run at such pace to try and control a ball like that. But they kept giving it away cheaply. And it's like they got excited by the goal and they're trying to attack too fast. And basically the counter-attack wasn't as good.
Do you think that was an instruction from Moyes, or do you think that was the players kind of being overconfident?
I don't think it's an instruction from Moyes, because Moyes' setup was working in the first half. There was no reason for them to do anything, for him to change that. I mean, you're still playing City away. So you're not going to get to the point where you're going to actually try and outplay them. And you know, I mean, why would you want to make the game end to end against City? You're going to lose that battle. So I don't think. I just think the players got a bit ahead of themselves and
I mean, do you think that's where they lost the game? Because of their overconfidence, do you think that's where they lost the game?
Well, they got tired because they were committed to it. Players were trying to join in the attack, but before they could join in the attack, the ball was sent to Antonio. So what happened is those players had, because normally when you join in the attack and you make that forward run like Souček and all of them were doing, and then you keep the ball, then it's okay because you're getting rest now that you're keeping the ball and City players are chasing it. But when you make that run and then straight away give it away, then that takes a lot out of the legs because you're not having to do intense pressing or following and tracking of players. So you're not getting to rest at all. So yeah, I do feel that because at that moment, West Ham got tired and City then got their goal. And the free kicks were piling up. They're giving away free kicks because they lost control of the game. It became a bit more end-to-end. But City had more composure in their attacks. So, yeah, I just felt maybe West Ham got too confident.
I mean, Rashid, do you think City could do the quadruple?
No. Treble, yeah. I don't think they're going to win the Champions League. I just simply, the simple reason is that I think they're missing a striker, and obviously Aguero is not fully fit still. It's not the same player it was a few years ago as well. Next year maybe. But this year I don't see him winning the Champions League.
I mean, they're trying to get Aguero back into the team. I mean, that was good minutes for him today. The next game in the Champions League is a couple of weeks away, so there is still time for Aguero to kind of come into the whole game. And
there's definitely a chance they can win the Champions League. It's just an hunch. I don't believe they'll win it. I've never been impressed with them when it gets to the later stage, of quarterfinal, semi-final. From what I've seen over the last 3 years, I even against when we played them, when Liverpool played them, I was never been impressed with Man City when it comes to Champions League. I think Pep does get too tactical in those sort of games. I think he overthinks it, but I may be wrong. The team is phenomenal, and Barca are finished. Real Madrid are not the same team. Liverpool are struggling. There is a chance they can. If they don't win it this year, it's going to be more and more difficult. They should be one of the favourites to win it. But as I said, overseeing the games I've seen over the years, I don't see them winning it.
I think with this, you have to analyze this version of City. It's a totally different City, and I think games like today show how much Pep has changed. Like you said, he took the risk. He still rotated players.
He's done well.
He's no longer become over reliant on Sterling and Kevin De Bruyne, and it's more the system. And because he has enough players who understand the system, he now trusts them. I mean, the only player I could think that maybe doesn't trust still is Mendy in the whole squad, because he'd rather play Cancelo on the left, and Mendy comes in only for FA Cup games to get it. But other than that, every player in that squad, I think he now trusts, or the ones he doesn't fully trust, he allows them to play in the way they're comfortable, like we said about Walker. But he's not trying to get Walker to come into central midfield. So I just think that Pep, with the way he is managing the squad and the players and the trust he has, and the interesting thing is, Michael Richards during the week on Sky Sports was talking about how much Pep now trusts all of the players, and he's an ex-City player. He's been changing with those players. He'll know. He's friends with some of the players in that squad, in the dressing room, so he'll know. So I found that very interesting when he kept highlighting it, that the difference this year and the reason why he thinks the City can do it, even though it's a very tough ask, is because Pep is trusting his players more than he has ever done before. And the other reason why I think they do have a better chance in Europe this year is because of the fact also that Cancelo and Zinchenko in that CM central midfield position when they go there, they are very good. They've actually fully adapted and understood the role, which previous years, whenever they had the fullbacks going into that midfield role, it always felt like those players were uncomfortable. Walker was always uncomfortable playing that role. Whoever else they had on the left back trying to do that role, Zinchenko previously, they just never looked comfortable. Now the team looks comfortable, whether the fullbacks go into midfield or whether they overlap. Both stars they look really comfortable and integrated. So I do think have a chance. I don't know whether
it's a mental block, isn't it?
Quadruple is possible, but I think Pep's going to play his strongest lineup for the Champions League. I do think Champions League they have a chance.
They got a chance, but the other reason I think is City's never won the Champions. It's a big ask. If it's a mental thing as well. When they get to those later stages, they always ball it. So let's obviously only time will tell. At the moment, as I said, this is the year they can win it because I don't believe they will, but this is their best chance. The reason being is
the main reason I kind of
asked
the main reason I kind of asked is this has been continuously said every year about this City team, and then
exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I wanted to ask what actually goes wrong for them in the Champions League when they get to the latter stages, because they seem to continuously struggle. But when you look at in the Premier League form, they're amazing. But when it goes to playing against those top teams in Europe, they seem to.
I think Rashid alluded to it. Pep does overthink these games. I remember one of them he played, Laporte on the left, I think against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Suicidal tactics. Every time he goes off what's been successful for his team leading up to that game. So it seems like the competition means more to Pep than he likes to give on. He always goes on like it's not a big deal, but it is clearly because
biggest competition in the world.
Been able to win it with Bayern, and
he's the biggest cup in the world.
To win it with City. Yeah, but I think he tries to downplay how much it means to him, but you can tell it means a lot. That's why he always overthinks it. And the other thing about that, and I've been previously very critical about, is that also shows a lack of belief in the players and the system. Because when you're on good form, you don't need to overthink. You don't need to over-control, overpack the midfield zone, like Pep likes to do in these big games. So the fact that he does that just tells me he doesn't believe his system is good enough to be the other team's one. And I think a lot of the time, if he just played his game, they would have got further in the competition.
Yeah, there was a game.
But because he overthinks it and he tries to do something to bring it extra. He's got this fascination of overloading the midfield.
Yeah, I was going to say 3-5-2. He went into a game with 3-5-2. Was it last year before? I can't remember what it was.
So against Leon last year, so that's what he tried matching up with Leon, even though they were on hot form playing their usual 4-3-3. Yeah. And he kind of changed the players and the formation just to counter Leon for some reason, but it made them even worse.
Yeah, so it's both. It's Pep overthinking and there is a mentality problem. I think I always think it's a problem when players try to go on like, oh, it's like any other competition. Any ex-player, when you read anything about the Champions League, they tell you, soon as the Champions League music is going off, as you're lining up, the heads on the back of your neck is going up. It's already a different type of game. Champions League is that much for big. It's a cup that they haven't won. So I think the players try to downplay it. Just it shows in the way they react, in the way they behave, in the way they go on. So I just think, it's mentality and Pep's overthinking. But it seems like something that's definitely changed this year. The trust. I think Diaz has really helped.
Yeah, what a signing.
Squad. And Pep as well trust the players more, and you see that a lot more. I mean, they hoof the ball, they clear it more than they ever used to. And the funny thing was, just before West Ham scored, you could actually see Pep shouting at them to just play long. which Pep never used to do before. For some reason, Walker kept trying to play into Aguero and play these tight passes. And, you know, it's a bit harsh on Aguero because the passes were terrible. They're coming to his throat and he's trying to control it, or right up to his waist and he's trying to control it. But ultimately, for the equalizer, he loses the possession. But the pass was terrible, really into him. But before that, you can actually see Pep signaling clear the board. Just see it out to half time. So that's something we've never seen Pep do before.
Thank you both. I mean, City 14 wins in the league in a row. I mean, this City run is amazing. I think they probably match the 18 that they have from the 17 season, along with the Liverpool also, who done it last year. Thank you both for your time, and I'll see you soon.
All right, see you later.